Driving a manual car is probably one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had in my life. Let me put you in the scenario of like basically what the fuck happened, how I got to drive a manual car. So it was about 8 in the morning. My dad needed to borrow my car, my Jeep, and he didn't want to drive the manual car to get something because the manual car was a little small. It was only like a two-seater. It was only like a two-seater, two-door type shit, you know? And my Jeep had a good amount of space. So my dad was like, hey, can I borrow your car? And you can borrow the manual car. And I hit him with, hey, I don't know how to drive a manual car. Hits me with the shit like, time you go to work. And I'm like fucking, like 10 a.m.? And he's like, alright, well, you're gonna learn how to drive manual real quick. And I'm like, how the fuck we gonna do that? And he's like, well, you have about an hour to practice, so I'm gonna teach you. So basically from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. my dad is teaching me how to drive a manual car, and you know, he's teaching me how to shift gears, press down on the clutch, do this, do that, shift to second when you hit like 15 miles an hour, and shift to third when it hits like 30 or 40. I believe it's 30 or 40, I don't remember. And some manual cars actually have a little light that you can flick, that little light that flicks up saying, hey, switch gears. Yeah, I didn't have that. I had to look at the speedometer. So I'm over here practicing for about 30 minutes to an hour. I leave the house at 9 a.m. and it was the worst 40-minute drive I've ever had in my life. Holy shit. I've never felt anxiety in my life. It probably wasn't even anxiety. I was just so tense throughout that whole fucking car ride. I had no music playing. I had nothing else. My hands were on the wheel and I was shifting gears like what I needed to do, right? Oh my god. I will never forget that experience. I didn't even take the fucking freeway. I took the fucking street. You got me fucked up if you think I'm taking the fucking freeway. The whole thing was basically me being so tense, so scared to drive that fucking car. And it was even worse. The thing was, I got a little bit used to it. It's just the thing that I sucked ass at stopping at a light and then having to slowly let go of the clutch while pressing the acceleration to put it in, and it's in first gear. I'm terrible at that. The amount of times my car is turned off is fucking embarrassing. But then again, it is my first time, so I guess it makes sense. By the way, I have so much more respect for people that drive manual now, because that shit is hard. Another worst part was when I was at a fucking light and I had to turn left at this fucking I had to turn left on this fucking light, and I was the lead car in the front, and I had to turn left and I had to let go of the clutch while pressing the acceleration, and the amount of times that the car turned off and I had people honking behind me, I wanted to scream. The moment I got back to my parents' house and I told him, hey, can I get my car back? And he's like, yeah, sure. Oh my god. I never, ever took an automatic car for granted anymore. Now, I will admit, I did feel pretty fast going in that manual car. It did have that horsepower. It felt really nice. But would I ever drive a fucking manual car ever again in my life? Probably not. Unless it's like an emergency. Because fuck that. Fucking hell. I was so fucking scared. In my fucking 20 years or 22 years of living, 21, I think I was 21. I was 21. Out of my 21 years of living, I would never drive a manual car again. Unless I needed to. If I needed to, then I'll do it. But if it ever came down to it, if they were like, hey, do you want this car, but it's a manual, I'd rather fucking take the bus to work. Fuck that.